When the enemy empire abandoned their Doomsday weapon beneath a backwater planet, they assumed the locals would never find it. They were right, until humans got bored and started digging holes. It started with an excavation in Antarctica. Officially, the crew was there for climate research, drilling ice cores to measure ancient atmospheric shifts. Unofficially, half of them were running on caffeine and sarcasm, the other half convinced they'd accidentally hit another Nazi bunker or, worse, a frozen McDonald's mascot from the 70s. Dr. Marcus Hale stood at the edge of the pit, hands in his coat pockets, wind biting at his cheeks. His colleagues were celebrating because the drill hit something metallic 200 meters down. Marcus wasn't celebrating. He was smiling politely, the kind of calm, affable expression that made people feel comfortable. But behind his eyes was calculation. "Looks like we found ourselves a UFO," muttered Jenkins, one of the grad students, tossing a chunk of ice aside. "Bet it's worth more than my student debt." "Everything's worth more than your student debt," another replied. Laughter cracked through the frozen air. Then the object revealed itself, an enormous lattice of black alloy, far older than human engineering. The structure pulsed faintly, as if irritated at being disturbed. The base called Washington. Washington called Geneva. Geneva called everyone with a telescope and a military budget. And that's when the aliens arrived. They called themselves the Kuroth. Tall, elegant, draped in silken armor, they descended in a starship so unnecessarily polished it reflected Antarctic ice like a vanity mirror. Their leader, Lord Varesh, stepped off the ramp as though he were entering a ballroom. "Primitive species," he declared in a voice like dripping oil, "you have unearthed a relic you cannot comprehend. It belongs to the Empire. Step aside." The humans didn't. Marcus walked forward, extending a hand, smiling in that disarming way he had. "Dr. Marcus Hale, Project Coordinator. Lovely to meet you. Coffee? Tea? We've also got hot chocolate if you're feeling adventurous." Varesh recoiled as though someone had waved a dead rat at him. "You will relinquish this artifact immediately. It is beyond your capacity." Marcus's smile never faltered. "See, here's the thing. It's on Earth. We dug it up, which makes it ours." He said it kindly, like explaining playground rules to a stubborn child. The Kuroth hissed. Their soldiers shifted uneasily, hands on weapons. But Marcus only gestured toward the weapon, half buried in the ice, its dark metal breathing with a rhythm of power. "We're very good at keeping dangerous toys safe," Marcus continued. "Ask Hiroshima. Ask the Cold War. Ask every teenager who's ever survived a fireworks stand in July." One of the alien aides whispered, horrified. Varesh's eyes narrowed. He had expected fear. Instead, he found humans treating an apocalyptic device like a conversation piece. That night, the research team sat in the mess tent, arguing over whether the thing was a bomb, a machine, or an interstellar art project. "It's humming," Jenkins said nervously. "Computers hum, too. So does my grandma when she's knitting," another replied. "Yeah, but your grandma can't erase a solar system." Marcus sat quietly at the head of the table, listening. He stirred his coffee, the spoon clinking with a steady rhythm. Then he set it down and spoke softly. "This isn't random. The Empire buried it here for a reason. They thought Earth was too primitive to touch it." He looked around the table. "They underestimated us." "Sir," Jenkins whispered, "we don't even know how it works." Marcus smiled. "We will." The next morning, the impossible happened. The weapon responded, not to alien codes, not to Kuroth attempts at reactivation, but to human tinkering. Someone had patched a connection using duct tape, copper wire, and a generator scavenged from the base. The machine pulsed brighter, an eerie heartbeat echoing across the ice. The Kuroth delegation panicked. "You imbeciles!" Varesh shouted, striding toward Marcus. "You cannot improvise with a superweapon. It requires centuries of calibration. Marcus tilted his head, calm as ever. Funny thing about humans. We improvise a lot. It's why we're still here. Varesh bared his teeth. You meddle with destruction you cannot imagine. Oh, we imagine plenty, Marcus said pleasantly. Nuclear winters, asteroid impacts, pandemics, you name it. We make movies about them. Sell popcorn while watching humanity end on screen. Destruction isn't new to us. Survival is. The weapon throbbed again. Snow cascaded from the cliffs as energy pulsed outward. The humans took a step back. The aliens took 3. Jenkins muttered under his breath, "We're all gonna die." Marcus didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the weapon, but his mind was elsewhere, calculating, measuring, already moving 3 steps ahead. By the 3rd day, the Antarctic base looked less like a research station and more like a construction site run by engineers who thought OSHA was a punchline. Wires crisscrossed snowfields. Generators hummed. Laptops blinked. The Kuroth protested constantly. "Your children with grenades." Varesh raged. Marcus only smiled. Funny thing. Children grow up fast. When Washington requested updates, Marcus delivered them with perfect politeness. "Yes, sir. The weapon is stable." "No, sir. We're not planning to detonate Antarctica." "Yes, sir. The aliens are cooperating beautifully." Varesh nearly choked when he heard that last part. At night, around campfires, the scientists joked nervously. "Bet we can make it play music. Hook up Spotify to it. Only if it doesn't vaporize us when it hits the chorus." The laughter always trailed into silence as the machine glowed in the distance, its alien rhythm pulsing like the heartbeat of something alive. On the 4th evening, the weapon spoke. Not in human language, not in Kuroth dialects, but in a deep resonance that shook the ice and rattled bones. The sound vibrated in skulls, translating directly into thought. Images spilled across minds, burning worlds, collapsing fleets, an empire's enemies erased in seconds. The Kuroth dropped to their knees in terror. The humans stood. Marcus whispered, "So that's what you were hiding." Varesh turned to him, eyes wide. "You cannot control it. It will consume you." Marcus's smile was gone now. His voice was soft, deadly serious. "No. We'll control it. Because unlike your empire, we don't fear dangerous things. We master them." The machine's glow intensified. Snowstorms rose in spirals around it, whipped by invisible currents. Every alien eye was on the humans now, waiting for panic, expecting retreat. Instead, Marcus reached into his coat, pulled out a notebook, and scribbled something down with a pen. "What are you doing?" Varesh hissed. Marcus glanced up, expression calm again. "Taking notes. We're going to need a manual eventually. Wouldn't want the next grad student blowing up the moon by mistake." The humans laughed nervously. The aliens did not. By the end of the week, the weapon was fully unearthed, an immense sphere of shifting plates, dark light spilling between its seams. The Empire had abandoned it here, centuries ago, as if Earth were nothing but a safe storage closet. They had been wrong. Marcus stood before it, coat whipping in the Antarctic wind, the polite mask still firmly in place. Behind him, the humans whispered, argued, joked, cursed. In front of him, the aliens trembled, unable to understand why Earth's primitives didn't collapse in fear. Marcus's voice carried calmly across the ice. "They buried their executioner here," he said. "And now, gentlemen," he turned, his smile sharp as a blade, "we've dug it up." The weapon pulsed, brighter than before. And somewhere deep within, as if recognizing its new masters, it began to respond. The discovery spread faster than gossip in a small town. Within 48 hours, the Antarctic camp was no longer a research outpost but a circus of politicians, generals, scientists, and aliens who smelled blood in the water. The Kuroth, furious yet desperate, demanded immediate control of the artifact. The humans, armed with coffee and stubbornness, refused. It all came to a head at the Council of Contact, hastily assembled in a steel hangar beside the excavation site. The air inside smelled of fuel, snow, and tension. Marcus Hale walked in last. He carried no weapons, wore no medals, and didn't raise his voice. Yet everyone noticed when he entered. Calm, composed, faint smile. He looked more like a man about to give a polite lecture on gardening than someone who'd just woken up a galactic doomsday engine. Aliens lined the far side of the table. Beside Lord Varesh of the Kuroth sat representatives from other species, each summoned by panic. Thrynn, insectoid scholars with crystalline eyes, clicking nervously. Valari, reptilian warriors, armored, glaring with disdain. Mazari, tiny rodent-like traders, twitching at every sound. The humans sat opposite, military brass, government officials, and Marcus in the middle, quiet, unreadable. Varesh wasted no time. Humans are reckless. This device is ours by right. It must be removed at once. Marcus leaned forward, folding his hands. With respect, Lord Varesh, it's buried on our planet. We dug it up. In human law, that's called finders keepers. The Mazari gasped. The Valari hissed in laughter. The Thrynn clicked disapprovingly. Primitive logic. Varesh snapped. Marcus smiled gently. Primitive? Maybe. But practical. And practicality tends to win wars. The Valari general, scaled skin gleaming under the lights, leaned across the table. You expect us to believe you can control this thing? You barely left your solar system. Marcus's reply was almost casual. We barely left our caves once, too. That didn't stop us from eventually flying. The Valari sneered, but the Thrynn scholars hummed in quiet agreement. The Mazari trader finally piped up, voice squeaking. We request clarification. You activated it, by accident. Marcus tilted his head, the faintest amusement in his eyes. Not exactly. That one phrase changed the air. Aliens glanced at one another. Humans pretended to shuffle papers, but no one missed the look that passed across Marcus's face. Controlled. Too controlled. Varesh stiffened. You mean to suggest this was deliberate? Marcus didn't answer directly. He stirred his coffee instead. The sound of the spoon against the cup filled the silence. Finally, he said softly, "We're fast learners." The council descended into noise. Aliens shouted in overlapping tongues, some demanding Earth surrender the weapon, others insisting the Kuroth couldn't be trusted either. The humans stayed mostly quiet. Marcus let them rant. He knew what silence did. It made others nervous. When the uproar finally died, he spoke again, still calm, still smiling. Ladies and gentlemen, I understand your concerns. But here's the truth. This weapon has been buried here for centuries. It hasn't destroyed us yet. Which means, he gestured toward his team, we're handling it better than its original owners. That landed like a punch. The Thrynn leaders' mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps, there is merit in studying how humans interact with it. Varesh hissed. No. It must be returned to the Empire immediately. The danger is too great. Marcus looked directly at him. His voice remained polite, but his words carried steel. Funny. The Empire abandoned it here. Sounds like your people couldn't handle it. A ripple went through the room. The Valari chuckled darkly. The Mazari squeaked and nearly fell off his chair. Varesh's face twisted in fury. You dare mock us? Not at all, Marcus replied smoothly. I'm pointing out facts. We've had it for a week and the only thing we've blown up is a generator. That's better than your track record. Later, during a recess, Marcus stood outside the hangar, staring at the endless Antarctic horizon. His aide, Lieutenant Briggs, approached. You keep poking the hornet's nest, sir. Marcus didn't look away from the snow. That's the point. You learn a lot from how hornets react. Briggs hesitated. Are we really in control of that thing? Marcus's smile returned, faint and unsettling. Control is overrated. Influence is enough. That evening, the aliens gathered privately, their voices low and urgent. The THRYNN whispered of curiosity. Humans displayed adaptability unseen in younger species. The Mazari squeaked of danger. Humans joked about apocalypse as though it were sport. The Valari scoffed. Humans were untested, yet disturbingly confident. Varesh seethed. He sensed the trap but couldn't yet see its shape. Meanwhile, in the human tents, the scientists worked tirelessly. They had mapped part of the weapon systems, discovering it wasn't merely a bomb. Its function stretched wider: atmospheric rewriting, tectonic manipulation, energy channeling on scales unimaginable. Jenkins stared at the glowing diagrams. This isn't just a weapon. It's a planet sculptor. Marcus, arms crossed, considered the swirling light. So it doesn't just kill. It remakes. Sir, that's worse. Marcus's tone was calm, almost cheerful. Or better. The next morning, negotiations resumed. The Mazari stammered through a proposal of joint control. The THRYNN asked for scientific partnership. The Valari demanded proof of human competence before deciding. Varesh slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Humans are dangerous children playing with a star killer. It must be seized. Marcus's reply was the same calm dagger he always carried. You can try, but you'd have to come through Earth to do it. And history hasn't been kind to invaders. A murmur of dark recognition rippled among the aliens. Humans had repelled every attempt at conquest in their own history, often with fewer resources and uglier methods than anyone expected. Marcus leaned back, his smile polite. We don't start fights, Lord Varesh. But ending them? That we've perfected. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the weapon's faint hum echoing outside like a heartbeat. That night, Marcus received a secure transmission from Washington. Status report, the president demanded. Marcus answered evenly. The aliens are rattled. The weapon's functional. And the Empire is sweating harder than anyone. The president's voice was tight. Can we trust you to keep them from taking it? Marcus looked at the glowing sphere in the snow, its surface shifting like a living thing. His reflection stared back at him, calm, smiling, hiding the storm beneath. Yes, sir, he said softly. They buried their future here. We're just digging it up. In the alien quarters, Varesh paced like a caged predator. His aide asked timidly, My lord, what if the humans truly can master it? Varesh stopped, eyes burning with hatred. Then the galaxy will learn what happens when predators pretend to be prey. Outside, the weapon pulsed again, as though agreeing. And Marcus Hale, watching from his tent, whispered to himself, one step at a time. The Antarctic night was a sheet of black glass, the weapon glowing like a buried sun beneath the ice. It no longer pulsed idly. It listened. Sensors across the camp spiked. Generators flickered. Even the auroras above shifted, as though the sky itself leaned closer. Inside the command tent, Marcus Hale studied the readings with his usual calm expression, a faint smile that didn't reach his eyes. Jenkins's voice shook. Sir, the thing's syncing with our systems. It shouldn't be possible. Shouldn't, Marcus echoed softly. But it is. At dawn, the Empire arrived. 3 warships broke orbit, their silhouettes slicing through the thin Antarctic clouds. They were sharp, angular beasts, armed with weapons designed to intimidate entire star systems. Their arrival turned the snow into glassy mirrors reflecting doom. Lord Varesh's smugness returned as his calm crackled to life. Your little excavation is over, humans. The Empire reclaims what is theirs. Marcus stood outside, coat whipping in the wind, hands calmly in his pockets. His reply was polite, almost apologetic. Sorry, Lord Varesh. We've already put too much work into it. You understand, once you start a project, it's hard to just let it go. The Empire ships descended lower, weapons hot. The humans didn't flinch. Inside the weapon, the system surged as if recognizing the threat. The sphere unfolded slightly, plates shifting, light pouring out. The soldiers panicked. Aliens screamed warnings. Marcus only murmured, "Let's see what it can do." The machine answered. A beam of raw energy lanced upward. It didn't just fire, it erased. The first Empire cruiser dissolved in silence, atoms scattered across the upper atmosphere. 1 second it was there, the next it was a memory. The second cruiser swerved, but a ripple of gravitational force tore it apart mid-turn, shredding it like paper. The third tried to flee. The weapon reached further, bending space around it until the ship collapsed into itself, vanishing in a flash. In less than a minute, the Empire's fleet was gone. The humans stared, half in awe, half in horror. Jenkins whispered, "We just swatted starships like flies." Marcus turned slowly, face unreadable. "Correction. It did. We only nudged it awake." Varesh's voice cracked through the calm again, stripped of arrogance, replaced with fury. "You've unleashed catastrophe. Do you even know what you hold?" Marcus's answer was calm as ever. "Enough to make you nervous. That's a good start." The alien delegations erupted. The Mazzari squeaked in terror, demanding evacuation. The Thrynn muttered about cosmic responsibility. The Valari, however, leaned forward, Predator's grin showing sharp teeth. "Impressive," their general said. "Perhaps humans are not as soft as you appear." Marcus's gaze shifted to him. "Appearances are useful. People underestimate you. Until it's too late." The Valari chuckled, approving. The others recoiled. That night, the camp was silent except for the hum of the weapon. Everyone knew the Empire would send more. The difference was, now they also knew Earth could answer. Inside the mess hall, a fire burned low in the heater. Soldiers and scientists sat together, restless, whispering. Jokes were rare now, laughter brittle. Marcus entered quietly, carrying his ever-present mug of coffee. The room fell silent. He set the mug down and looked at them one by one. "I know what you're thinking," he began softly. "That we've bitten off more than we can chew. That we've woken something that should have stayed buried. You're not wrong." The silence tightened. "But here's the thing. Humanity's always lived with monsters. Nature, war, disease, ourselves. We don't run from them. We learn, we adapt, we survive. This is just another monster. Bigger teeth, sharper claws. Same rules." Jenkins finally found his voice. "And if it turns on us?" Marcus's smile was thin. "Then we'll find a way to turn it back. That's what we do." The next day, the aliens convened again, fear thick in the air. The Thrynn leader clicked urgently. "If the Empire sends their full fleet, Earth will burn. This weapon may not protect you from overwhelming force." Marcus nodded politely. "Good point. But history shows something important. Force doesn't guarantee victory. Ask Napoleon. Ask Vietnam. Ask anyone who underestimated us." The Mazzari squeaked. "You speak of ancient wars as though they matter." "They do," Marcus said firmly. "Because strategy doesn't change. Technology evolves. Tactics endure." Varesh slammed his hand on the table. "You're playing with fire you cannot contain." Marcus finally leaned forward, smile gone, eyes cold. His voice cut through the room like a knife. "No, Lord Varesh. You played with fire and lost control. We just picked up the torch." The aliens fell silent. For the first time, Marcus's mask slipped. The politeness was still there, but underneath, steel, sharp and merciless. Hours later, alarms screamed. A second wave of Empire ships entered orbit, larger, stronger, and angrier. The base scrambled. Soldiers ran to defensive lines. Scientists abandoned research for shelter. The weapon pulsed, responding instinctively. Marcus stood at the edge of the excavation pit, coat snapping in the Antarctic wind. The Empire ships glowed above like knives poised to strike. Briggs rushed to his side. "Orders, sir." Marcus's voice was calm, steady. "We show them what happens when you underestimate Earth." The weapon unfolded further, plates shifting like an armored flower. Energy surged. Above, the Empire fired. Blinding streaks of plasma rained toward the ice. The weapon responded, not just with a beam, but with a shield of bending space. The attacks vanished into nowhere. Then it struck back. A shockwave tore through orbit, disabling 3 ships in seconds. Another burst of energy locked onto the largest cruiser, crushing it into rubble. The humans below cheered, half in terror, half in exhilaration. Briggs whispered, "God help us. We're actually winning." Marcus's eyes stayed fixed on the destruction above, voice almost a whisper. God helps those who help themselves. By the end of the battle, orbit was silent. Wreckage burned as it fell through the atmosphere. The Antarctic night glowed with streaks of fire. The humans stood victorious. The aliens stood shaken. Marcus turned to them, calm again, his smile back in place. "Now you see why we can't just hand it over." Varesh trembled with rage. "You've doomed us all." Marcus's eyes flickered with something darker than anger, certainty. "No. We've only just begun." The weapon pulsed once more, brighter, stronger, as though echoing his words. And for the first time, every alien present understood the truth. Humanity hadn't stumbled onto this. They were steering it. The battlefield above Earth smoldered. Fragments of Empire warships burned through the atmosphere, streaking across the night like vengeful meteors. The Antarctic winds carried the crackle of victory, but also the silence of something larger awakening. The weapon no longer pulsed idly. It thrummed with purpose, its plates shifting in symmetrical patterns, light pouring across the ice like veins of fire. It wasn't just awake, it was listening. Marcus Hale stood at the excavation's edge, coat snapping against the cold. He appeared calm, sipping coffee as though watching a sunrise. Around him, humans moved with quiet efficiency, repairing, reinforcing, preparing. The aliens gathered close, torn between awe and dread. Varesh finally broke the silence, his voice a mix of fury and fear. "Do you realize what you've done? The Empire will come in force now. You've turned Earth into their prime target." Marcus's eyes never left the weapon. "Good," he said softly. The word froze everyone. Even Briggs blinked. "Sir, good." Marcus finally turned, smile faint but sharp. "Yes. We wanted them to come. We've been waiting." The room erupted. The Mazari squeaked in terror, chittering about extinction. The THRYNN clicked in alarm, their crystalline eyes darting. Even the Valari, normally unshaken, tensed at the revelation. Varesh snarled. "You baited them?" Marcus's voice remained polite, almost casual. "Of course. Think about it. Why else would we dig so openly? Why else let you all come sniffing around? We wanted the Empire to notice. To rush. To commit." Briggs swallowed hard, realization dawning. "Sir, this was the plan all along?" Marcus looked at him, calm and unflinching. "History shows the same truth. Predators win by drawing prey into the open. The Empire thought Earth was their burial ground. We've turned it into their trap." The aliens stared at him, some horrified, others reluctantly impressed. The Tichawan scholar whispered, "You humans masked calculation with humor." You made yourselves seem careless. Marcus inclined his head. Polite smiles. Awkward jokes. It makes people underestimate you. Works every time. Varesh slammed his fist on the table. Arrogant parasites. You think you can fight the full strength of the Empire with one stolen weapon. Marcus's expression hardened, the smile fading. His voice dropped to a quiet, lethal tone. Not stolen. Claimed. And we're not fighting with one weapon. We're fighting with something far older. Something you never understood. He let the silence hang before finishing. Humanity. Alarms wailed. The Empire fleet arrived in full force. Hundreds of warships poured into orbit, blotting out stars, their combined power enough to sterilize worlds. The ground trembled under the strain of their presence. The aliens panicked. The Mazari begged for evacuation. The Thrynn muttered of annihilation. Even the Valari general, hardened by centuries of war, whispered, "Not even this machine can face that." Marcus stepped forward, unshaken. "We never planned for the weapon to fight alone." He tapped a console. Screens lit up, showing hidden preparations across Earth. Fleets of human-built ships rising from secret hangars. Ground-based rail cannons hidden in deserts, mountains, and oceans. Swarms of drones armed with nuclear payloads, circling like mechanical hornets. And beneath it all, the weapon glowing brighter, drawing energy from Earth itself. Briggs gasped. "You've been preparing this for years." Marcus's voice was calm. "We knew they'd come back eventually. Humanity doesn't wait for disaster. We prepare for it." The Empire fleet opened fire. Beams of plasma rained down like judgment. The Antarctic sky burned. The weapon responded instantly, bending space itself, scattering blasts harmlessly into the void. Human defenses roared to life, rail cannons tearing through orbit, drones swarming in coordinated strikes, Earth's first true planetary defense unleashed. The battle was chaos, fire against ice, silence against thunder. Ships exploded in orbit, raining debris across the oceans. The weapon's energy lashed out, cutting through formations like scissors through paper. Yet amid the fury, Marcus stood calmly at the command table, directing with clipped, polite orders. "Target the flanks, please. Don't waste fire on the decoys. Jenkins, remind the weapon not to vaporize the moon, we're rather fond of tides." Briggs muttered under his breath, "How the hell are you joking right now?" Marcus's faint smile returned. Humor keeps the edge sharp. The turning point came when the Empire unleashed its flagship, a dreadnought the size of a city. Its weapons glowed, tearing through defenses, a behemoth bearing down on Earth. Varesh leaned forward, triumphant. "Now you see the futility." Marcus only sipped his coffee. "I do hate repeating myself, Lord Varesh. But never bet against humanity." The weapon surged. This time it didn't just fire, it rewrote. A pulse spread outward, folding space around the dreadnought. The massive vessel twisted, crushed, and collapsed into a single point of light before vanishing completely. The aliens fell silent. The humans cheered, half in awe, half in disbelief. Marcus set down his cup, voice quiet but carrying. That was the sound of an empire breaking. Hours later, the battlefield was over. The Empire fleet lay in ruins, shattered across orbit, their proud armada reduced to burning fragments. The aliens stood in stunned silence, their worldview overturned. The Thrynn whispered, almost reverent, "You planned every step, every smile, every word." Marcus inclined his head slightly. "War is chess. You never show the queen until it's too late." The Mazari shook, tail twitching. "What happens now?" Marcus looked out across the ice, where the weapon glowed steadily, loyal now to its new masters. His answer was calm, polite, and terrifying. "Now, we rebuild the galaxy. Our way. Varesh spat venom. You humans are monsters. Marcus finally turned to him, eyes cold as steel, mask completely gone. His voice was soft, but it cut like a blade. No, Lord Varesh. We're survivors. Monsters are sloppy. We're deliberate. The Kuroth leader fell silent, unable to muster another word. In the following days, messages spread across the galaxy. Species that once dismissed Earth now watched with awe and dread. Some pledged allegiance out of fear, others out of hope. The Empire, once untouchable, now faced rebellion across its territories, inspired by the sight of humans smiling as they dismantled its fleets. Marcus stood at the center of it all, polite as ever, his calm voice carrying both comfort and threat. To those who want peace, he said, addressing the galaxy through transmissions, we welcome you. To those who want war, he smiled faintly. We're very practiced at that too. That night, in the quiet of the Antarctic camp, Briggs approached him. Sir, was this always the plan? From the start. Marcus gazed at the weapon, its light painting the snow. Not exactly. But humans don't need perfect plans. We improvise. We adapt. We turn disasters into opportunities. Briggs nodded slowly. And the Empire? Marcus's smile was